Here.
Margot Mori,
Here.
Nicholas Andrews, Colleen White, Justin Lerman, Justin Henderson,
Here.
Debbie Cole.
Here. And Madam Clerk, I'm just confirming we do have a quorum.
We do.
Thank you, ma'am. In order to open the meeting, I'd just like to give you kind of an overview of how we do it here. So we base our decisions on competent, substantial evidence, including testimony provided in this meeting. Any person who's not an applicant or agent that wishes to speak will need to fill out a speaker's card located on the side table by the door and turn them into the clerk. It's our practice that regardless of the type of issue we are asked to decide upon, each member of the public is given 3 minutes to speak on each item, and that's this readout here. We ask that you refrain from speaking out from the audience, applauding, groaning, etc., as we just try to keep an atmosphere there where everyone listening or in attendance is comfortable. And we ask that you silence your cell phones. So with that, may we consider the approval of the minutes from February 12th, 2024. Do we have any changes, or motion?
Motion approved.
Second. And remind me, do we need a roll call vote for this, or can we just, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Popoli, do you have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Thank you, sir. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any ex parte communications to disclose? I hear none. Do we have any old business?
No old business.
With that, may we begin with new business?
Yes, I did just want to say one quick thing, just to remind you guys that you need at least 3 members to have a quorum, which you do, and anything to pass your approval requires a simple majority, which in this case would be 3 members.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, your first item is PC number 0224. It's a conditional use application request. The owner is Parish Rentals LLC. The applicant and agent is Britt Parish. The location is 725 North 3rd Street, which is the site of the former Seahorse Florist. The conditional use application is to allow for the renovation of a multifamily commercial structure into multifamily under the RM1 standards in the C1 zoning district, pursuant to section 342D15 of the Land Development Code. As I mentioned, the property was formerly a florist shop on the ground floor, but has always had multifamily units on the upper floors. At this time, it has currently 3 units of multifamily, as well as the downstairs commercial space, which was most recently a florist shop. There was a variance granted for a beauty salon to go downstairs, which just did not come to fruition, but it did address all the nonconformities with the landscaping, setbacks, and those sorts of things. The proposal is to basically keep the structure as 3 units of multifamily, which is the maximum density, maximum allowable usage for residential on that property. But they would convert the downstairs, which was the commercial space, into living space, and then expand the upstairs units into more room. So you'll still have a total of 3 units, but they'll each be larger. The location of the property is on North 3rd Street, basically mid-block on the east side between 6th Avenue North and 7th Avenue North. Access has always been by a driveway/alley that's runs along the side of the property. The structure was built back in, I believe, the 50s, so it's an older structure, obviously. The adjacent uses include retail commercial space to the north, a multifamily structure to the east, Beaches United Methodist Church to the west across 3rd Street, and a private gym to the south that is owned by the applicant. As the property previously had 3 dwelling units and a commercial space, the proposed 3 dwelling units are in fact less intense than its current setup, and it will now include the space that was previously used for retail. The proposed use is consistent with the C1 zoning standards and the RM1 zoning district conditions of the land development code, and has been found to be consistent with commercial development in the surrounding area. And based on the application provided and analysis stated in the report, the Planning and Development Department is recommending approval of PC 0224.
Thank you, sir. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and tell us what you'd like us to do?
My wife and I,
Okay, 1 second. Please raise your right hand. State your name and address.
Brent Parrish, currently in transition of living quarters, 13236 Grand Logan Lane, Jacksonville, Florida 32225.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Much to say this, Mr. Papali said we purchased the property, my wife and I. We own a business next door for about 10 years. Have tried to continue the growth. We purchased it with the intentions of turning it into a multifamily, and really just trying to, renovate the area, renovate the building, and turn it into a long-term rental investment for my wife and I. We plan on living there for a while, as we do intend on building a home. So outside of that, we did read and research and hope that it'll conform to all the existing codes that apply.
Questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. I will now open the public hearing. I don't have any speaker cards. Is there anyone who would like to, who has not filled out a speaker's card that wishes to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and will bring the item back to the board for discussion. Do we have questions for staff? Do we have discussion? I have to look just in one direction. This is kind of cooler than usual.
I guess the only question I have is parking. You said there were 6 spaces there with the garage and with the alleyway. Is there anything looking forward as like that's going to create an issue as far as parking going? I know it's tight right through there.
So when the variance was applied for the florist shop, or the beauty salon, a lot of those inconsistencies with the code were addressed during that variance application, because obviously they don't have a proper amount of turning and maneuvering space and things like that. But the Board of Adjustment felt that even with the commercial use, that there was enough accommodation that it wouldn't create an issue. With the reconfiguration that they're proposing, they will have 6 spaces, one of which will be handicap, and then the 2 spaces will be in the garage. So that's allowed for residential use. So I don't really anticipate any more intensity than what's there currently, because again, it's just going to be 3 units, and it's been 3 units.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
May we have a roll call, please?
David Dahl,
Yes.
Justin Henderson,
Yes.
Debbie Cole,
Yeah.
Margot Mori.
Yes. So your application has been approved.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Mr. Propoli, may we go on to PC 0324?
Yes, indeed. Next application is 0324. This is also a conditional use request. The owner is the Oriander Group LLC. The agent is Paul Fraze. Probably getting that wrong. The location is currently listed as 0 St. Augustine Boulevard. I have a map for me. It's currently a vacant lot. As you can see there, it's kind of oddly shaped, so they give you some location. This is 3rd, this is St. Augustine Boulevard. Obviously, north is this way. The request is for the construction of a 2-unit multifamily structure located in the C1 Commercial Zoning District, pursuant to Section 342D15, under the RM1 standards in the C1 Zoning District of the Jackson Beach Land Development Code. Property is located in the C1 zoning district, which allows multifamily use with conditional use approval, using the RM1 zoning standards for dimensional standards. The subject property comprises one full lot of record and an additional half lot. The property is located on the northeast corner of the intersection of St. Augustine Boulevard and Alamonster Street. The property is currently vacant. The applicant is proposing to build a 2-unit multifamily structure with one unit facing St. Augustine Boulevard and the other facing Alamonster Street. Each unit will have a 2-car garage with a 2-car driveway. Surrounding uses include medical office to the east across St. Augustine Boulevard, a commercial office to the northeast and adjacent, a professional office to the north and adjacent, and a multifamily structure to the southwest across Alamonster Street. The proposed use will have limited impact on the surrounding area as 2-unit multifamily structure is one of the least intense uses allowed in the C1 zoning district. The proposed use is consistent with the C1 standards of the Land Development Code and will be consistent with the surrounding commercial development. Based on the application and analysis stated in the report, the Planning and Development Department is recommending approval.
Thank you, sir. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give us any presentation?
Please raise your right hand. State your name and address.
Nicholas Renard, 160 Crossroad Lakes Drive, Palm Beach Beach, Florida, 32082.
Paul Fraze, 212 East Street, St. Augustine, Florida, 32080.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I think Christian summed it up fairly well of the intent. We had a meeting with him to discuss the setbacks and the implications of going from C1 to the residential with the conditional use and how these setbacks and lot coverage would be applied to the site. From that meeting, we actually originally had both units designed to face Alamonster, but because of some of the setback constraints, we rotated one and got them both to fit within the setbacks. Beyond that, I'm not sure. I'm happy to answer any questions once you guys have them.
Do we have any questions?
So is each unit a single family unit, or is it multifamily unit and within 2 units?
No, it's a single family, it's just 2 units attached. The unit facing down, the unit facing down, thank you. That's 1 unit, and then the directly above it is a second.
Okay, so essentially 2 townhomes?
Yes, sir.
Other questions for the applicant? Anything else the applicant would like us to know? Thank you, gentlemen. I'll now open the public hearing. Again, I don't have any speakers cards. Would anyone like to speak?
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Charles Hutcherson, 359 St. Augustine Boulevard.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Correct, that's my opinion.
What would you like us to know, sir?
Since I live right down the street, the entire street's a single-family residential street. Okay, the White House that's right there on the corner of St. Augustine Alamonster. Right now, it's a single-family house. It never got approved to be a multi-family house, and the neighbors there are very nice. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of the guy who got permission to buy that house or to keep it a single family, and then the townhomes that were built just ignored you guys. It wasn't you guys, it was different people, and just went ahead and made it a multifamily house. According to what I got in the mail, was this was gonna be a multi-family unit, which I'm 100% opposed to. Because when that happens, then the door's open for anything else to happen, to be multifamily on St. Augustine Boulevard. And nobody wants that. So that piece of property was a showcase property way back in the day, maybe 10, 15 years ago, to be a pervious parking lot for the doctor's office that was there. And then a couple of years ago, somebody went in there and sprayed the parking lot with a bituminous material to make it impervious. Of course, it was done without a permit. So everybody here knows that that little intersection floods all the time. I'm not saying it's directly because of that, but that does contribute to it. So I don't know what the impervious rule used to be, 35%. It's, that parking lot right now is probably 70%, 75% impervious. Is that correct? Anybody?
Impervious doesn't leak. Impervious doesn't leak, so yes,
That's correct. But when it was built as a pervious parking lot. Therefore, right, it was going to absorb without having all the drainage requirements that an impervious parking lot or anything impervious requires. So whatever happened to that? How did that ever get done? The owner just did it, that's my point. The other guy who built the townhomes tried to build another story above it. We came and protested that, and then he threatened me out in the parking lot. Whoever that builder was, it was the same guy who was in cahoots with the guy who bought the White House, some dentist from Avondale. I want to have assurance that none of this is going to happen with this. I'm not opposed to development, and if it's right, and it's by code, and it's by, what the city.
Your 3 minutes is absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to, on record, oppose this, okay? Since my time is out and I didn't get to really say everything I really wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission?
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Sam Sassine, 344 St. Augustine Boulevard.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes.
God?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm 344, which is, you can see it right up there, it's catty corner to the property. And I'm in agreement with the gentleman that just came up, my other neighbor, in regards to this being that we put a duplex here on St. Augustine Boulevard. It gives an opportunity later on for someone else to try to follow suit. And I want to try to avoid that as possible. I built this house 3 years ago, knowing that there was just only homes along the strip. And I want to keep it that way. Now, if I have a duplex there, that might hurt the value of my home. I don't know. But I don't know what's exactly being built and what the qualities of it being built as well. The last thing I want to see is a duplex from my house. I don't mind seeing another beautiful home, because that's what I built there. And I spent $1 million just on my lot and home. And I'd like to see something similar. I don't mind it being a single family home, just a home, but when we're talking about a duplex, that gives it another site that I wasn't expecting. I have a rental in Neptune that I was going to tear down and build a house, but I chose not to do that because of all the duplexes in the area and all the rentals in the area. So then that's when I found this property, and I found myself feeling comfortable about my decision. But now, with the duplex being put up, I really would prefer that it doesn't happen. So I really wish you guys would think this through. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everybody.
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Brett Morgan, 403 St. Augustine Boulevard.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for everybody being here today. I am the person who has the house right there on the corner, the white two-story house that the previous owner had, the duplex, the guy who bought the property behind there. So I've been there for 7 to 8 years, and I've seen the issues that happen with everybody with the building process. I used to build homes for a living. It's my forte. So when I was talking to that crazy builder, the parking lot that they did for a multifamily unit was the biggest issue too, and the county agreed to be able to have the structural engineer be able to have a level so high that the trenching in the water will not escape, but it does not escape unless the water level is that high, right? So my biggest concern, that corner, there's no central drainage system, there's no gutters, there's no curving. We get flooded out all the time. Our next door neighbor now, they just redid their property. I'm not sure if they talked to you. They did asphalt, they did rock, they did sand. Now they're 6 or 8 inches above my property. I get flooded out 2 feet in my backyard just from that multifamily unit. The stop sign in that area gets flooded out in a hard rainstorm at like 6 inches. So my biggest concern, not only me having a new child, so I don't want to hear construction all the time, single family unit, that's great, multifamily unit. The parking alone, just from those 4 properties, is about 12 to 15 cars. They take over the commercial parking lot area beside 40s, right? So we're dealing with that on our own. That'd be my biggest concern for everybody here, you know. And then everybody in that neighborhood being against that and also feeling all those effects too. So just wanted to voice that to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to address the commission? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do you have discussion?
Christian, so the parking lot, which would be, I guess, to the north, that they're referring to here, that was attached to the doctor's office. So what became, if that doctor's office needed that parking lot for their customers, when did that get detached from the doctor's office and purchased and turned into this situation even to begin with? That they no longer needed that parking?
I'm not familiar with the history of this particular property. I can tell you that
In theory, didn't they require that parking, and then somewhere along the line they decided, screw everybody, we don't need that anymore?
They sold it.
So this particular parcel, the one that we're talking about, the 0 parcel here, has been an individual property going back to the 70s, at least. So it's been under unique parcel number, unique property address. Whether or not it was attached to the doctor's office, I don't know the history of that, but at some point it was sold off. It doesn't necessarily mean that the doctor's office is deficient in parking, but I don't know the history of it. At this point, the property was sold and has been bought by somebody else. So if the doctor's office has some degree of nonconformity, that's really them for selling it off. If I can, I just want to touch on a few things. So this area right here, this is all commercial 1 zoning. So although these are single family, this is literally the line between these 2 zoning categories. You've got an office planned unit development project here, so that has its own unique zoning. And then everything here is C1, and then across over here is C1 as well. So there is a zoning difference that happens at this street corner. As you know, for C1, there's a lot of commercial uses that are allowed. One of the uses that is not allowed in C1 is single family. So the lowest intensity thing you can do in C1 is basically a 2-unit multifamily, which is what they're proposing.
Question for Christian.
Please.
Christian, do you know how long that demarcation line there between C1 and the residential has been there that way?
a very long time. I couldn't tell you exactly, but at least as far back as the current land development code.
Yeah, I don't remember it ever being any different.
Yeah, I'm not aware that it has been, but I couldn't say before 92 if it was or wasn't.
And then the second question I would have is, and you probably don't know, it would be about flooding. And there's flooding all over town, so everybody knows about it. Everybody has spots where there is flooding, where flooding occurs. Do we know anything about the infrastructure over there as far as storm sewer?
I don't. I know it's one of the older parts that hasn't been updated in the recent projects. It wouldn't surprise me that at peak rain events, there's a lot of flooding in that area. But I can say that the new project is required to account for its own stormwater. So anything that is currently flowing into that property is technically not the obligation of that property owner, because it should be, staying on the right of way with the city's
It's by
water.
roof and impervious material, right?
Right, so anything that they would generate, they're required to deal with through a drainage plan, and that becomes a conversation between the building official and public works as far as how that's handled.
Thank you.
Right, but it also sounds like that hasn't happened in that neighborhood. So if that parking lot's there, the townhouse across the street's there, this goes up, where does the water go?
They may have to direct it to on-site storage, they may have to direct it to a city stormwater drain. That's really, that level of conversation happens at the stage of the development plan, where Public Works and Building and myself all sit down and with the applicant and work out those utility-related details. But I guess the point is, if there's a known flooding issue, it's not an individual property's responsibility to absorb that water if it's coming off the city street.
So in summary, it meets the zoning code, and that's not a single property's responsibility as far as flooding, if there is any or isn't.
Correct. If it was an issue and the city had to address it, they would need to buy the property, in essence.
I understand what the comments were about, but I just want to make sure they understand what our requirements are. We have to go by the code. I'm not talking to anybody in particular.
Right.
We do have to go by the code.
Could you cue into this next real quick? I just wanted to touch on one other thing real quick. So I had mentioned in the report, there is a 2-car garage for each unit separately, and then each driveway is also big enough to meet the qualifications for 2 parking spaces. So technically, each unit can park 4 cars. So even if the garage is used for something other than parking, there are still at least 2 parking spaces per unit, which is the minimum requirement in the land development code.
I have a question. So there's no way a single-family home could be built there
Without rezoning it, in essence, yeah. You might have noticed the large building built behind me in Case recently. That was in essence a single-family, 1-story home that was there that burned down, and the only thing they could build on that property of the least intensity was a 2-unit multifamily. So that's a nature of the code right now, unfortunately.
Can I just ask the question, given that we're looking at our comprehensive plan and we're looking at our land development regs, this is something that we see with some frequency, that a single-family home has been, not used for 6 months or whatever, but they're around and they've been around. It's not something that we hardly ever see it, and it seems to me as a planner that they can be compatible as part of a mix.
Yeah, no,
So
particularly
is
in
this
the...
something that is under consideration for
Absolutely,
changing?
yeah. No, under the C1 category, we're definitely looking at some changes to the non-conformity requirements to allow existing single-family to continue if they're there, be it historic or, built before the 92 period. And then going forward, it'll be a question of the council if they want to allow new single-family in C1 or just allow the legacy ones to continue. But it's something that's being discussed. We haven't quite got to that stage yet with the land development code.
That's at least important question.
In this case, again, there's nothing there other than, pervious surface. There's no structure, so I don't know that it would apply in this case, but
Am I able to ask a point of reference question?
it's up to the chair.
Just to,
Is it sort of just a factual
No,
question?
no, I just,
We'll answer.
yeah, what your conversation is going about, like, Mike, as a concern of the height level, and what the.
You gotta get his microphone.
Brett, tell them there's no sewers either.
My biggest concern, and, you know, if it does qualify, and there's no way around to getting it, okay. The problem that happened with that multifamily unit behind us, right, the structural engineers passed almost 2 feet above, you know, where they should have been for drainage. So if they get built, and they just need to be able to go as high as we would like to almost as well, to where now the drainage and there's no central sewage, you know, are we able to address that problem? Because it's already an existing issue, right? So if the people that already live on that street want to address that issue, and we can't, you know, unfortunately stop someone building a place, especially since they're gonna back into my driveway, right? We might hit each other a little bit. My more concern is like, as a builder, putting so much dirt, putting so much foundation there and not having a place for it to go. Now, it's not their issue, right? So maybe we can touch on that a little bit.
Perhaps Mr. Harper.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're asking. So the developer's responsibility when it comes to elevation is going to be based on the Florida Building Code and the requirements for how high the building needs to be at a minimum. So they will probably end up being higher than the current level of the property.
Right.
Because the foundation has to be so high, and there has to be so much filter to level the property.
Correct. And then so with the past building of the multifamily unit behind us, they put in a drainage ditch and a sewage ditch, right? But as that builder even said to me, he wanted to lower it 6 or 7 inches, and the building unit was not allowing, you know, everybody was not allowing. They already had passed it, let's just say that, right? That it was, so now it just created this convection of a, you know, funnel from everybody over in that corner. So that's what a big issue is, I think, for everybody as well, right? So,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, thanks.
Do you mind if I just add one thing to your commercial zoning thing? It's just real brief, super brief.
Since I let someone else do it.
It has nothing to do with residential, but it goes with the C1. It goes with the C1. When they built the Gate gas station, we as the community made sure that when they emptied the garbage cans, they would come at 3 and 4 in the morning and create this unbelievable racket and wake the whole entire neighborhood. Well, they went, hey, you can't do that anymore, and it stopped for a while, and then it comes back. So, you know, us as a neighborhood, even though there's a C1, we still have the effects from people in the C1 right there abusing the rights and the privileges that, you know, that we as a community asked not for them to do, and they agreed, and they continue to do it anyway.
Thanks, sir. I just, and it's across the street, you know, the zoning changes across the street. Making for mix of uses. I mean, I am concerned that we're looking at the possibility of single family potentially being appropriate in C1 under whatever circumstances in the future. I just want to put that on record.
I would add, Madam Chair, if I might, that the proponents would just need to watch when you, or your contractors in there doing that infill, because I see them do it all the time, not this one in particular, but I have seen people try and put in complete impervious all the way across their lot line when they weren't watching, and also raise it up. One of them over on my street was raised up about 6 feet. So I would just say to the people that we're here to oppose, keep an eye on what's going on. Well, there's nothing else we can do, so, sorry, thanks.
Any further discussion?
Just like the last time, right?
Well, like, if it's passed through the board.
They're not allowed to keep speaking.
Yeah.
No, they're done.
Yeah.
Public hearing is closed.
Thank you, guys.
Any more discussion?
I have a question for,
You're done.
oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, great. Yes. Fantastic.
based on the discussion, I move to approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Justin Henderson, Eddie Cole,
Yes.
No.
Margot Mori.
Yes. Your application has been approved, sir.
Guys, if we can discourage you from whispering, because you're still on the record.
May we have the planning department report, please, sir?
Sure, so, right now, we have no items for the April 8th meeting, so we're gonna cancel that one just because there's nothing to discuss. We do have things lined up for the 22nd, and, hopefully by, I would say, the beginning of April, we should know, what date we're gonna set for the hearing for the draft comprehensive plan. So that'll be coming up relatively soon. We're just working out final kinks with the, consultant on some last minute tweaks. So once we have that set up, we'll have a date, and we'll get it advertised, and you guys will get it, well in advance, so you can look at it. That's all.